Arne, a few days now as a champion of England. What has it been like seeing what it's meant to people and, of course, knowing what it means to you?
That has been the best part of it all. Working here for 10 months, you can already get an idea what it means to the people if we were able to win it. But the moment the bus we were driving in, that was emotional. And you could feel how much it would mean to them. And from the moment we were in the stadium till we left the stadium, I think we all saw and knew. We already knew it, but we saw it even more, how special it was. And a big compliment to our fans that there was no pitch invasion. I think that was also the reason what made it so special after the game, because the amount of times you see fans running on the pitch and then all of a sudden there was no celebration anymore.
Yeah.
Or only for 2 minutes. This was, I think every club around the world should watch this and say, this is the perfect way of celebrating it.
Yeah. Can you talk us through how you felt in those moments leading up to and after the full-time whistle? I must admit, as I drove to Anfield in that morning, I wondered, you're so far clear, what would the celebrations be like? But being part of that outpouring of joy, that wave of emotion, what was that like for you?
That was brilliant, but to go into a game knowing that you still need a point to clinch it, I think that's the way you say it. There also comes a bit of pressure with that, because when you arrive at the stadium you feel like, if we're not able to achieve it today, that would be a big upset. So it also came with a bit of responsibility and a bit of anxiety maybe when I speak for myself. But like I said before, the moment you arrive at the stadium, you feel it's almost impossible that we're gonna lose this game, because I've already experienced some special moments at Anfield. I've already experienced a few times that the fans really helped us getting the win over the line or getting a late game winner. But this was more than I think anyone has ever felt before. At least that's what people tell me. I'm only here for 10 months, but the die-hard Liverpool fans that have been here for so many years put this probably in the top 3 of Anfield games.
I feel like, we're in a really privileged position, so we're sat obviously right next to the bench, directly behind you when you're kind of on the touchline. I feel like with a couple of minutes to go, I think I saw you turn and look up and blow a kiss to someone in the crowd.
No, not to somebody. That would probably be my wife and my children.
I guess, yeah.
But I also looked up because I wanted to see, you 9 out of 10 times in every stadium you see the cup in our situation that are celebrating and singing, but this time, and it has happened a few times before at Anfield, but this time the whole stadium was red, so that was brilliant what Virgil came up with, that the whole stadium was red. But everywhere you saw the same emotion, and I've said before, normally when we are 3 goals clear and there's 5 minutes to play, I still feel there might go something wrong. But being 5-1 up with only a few minutes to play, that was a moment also to look around and see what it has meant to everyone.
So I want to take you now back to the start, or back to the start of this Liverpool journey. So we're almost 12 months. The phone rings and you're told that Liverpool might be interested. How well can you picture that moment? Where are you sat? Who calls you?
I don't even know exactly where I was at that moment anymore. I don't think, no, I don't know. But I do know that it was a special moment because I was really happy at Feyenoord. The way I could work there, the success we had together. So I could have worked there for 3 or 4 more years. So there were only a few clubs where I would leave Feyenoord for. And it's not a surprise that Liverpool was definitely one of them. And that's also, again, the positive thing from what happened last Sunday. When I talk to players in the past, last season, or now, because we are working, of course, already towards next season, I always tell them we have one of the special, maybe the special fans of the world. But from this moment on, I don't have to tell this anymore. People only have to look the videos back from Sunday, and then everybody knows how special it is. So this was one of the few clubs I would leave Feyenoord for, and I haven't regretted 1 second. Not only because we won the league, but definitely also for the way I can work here on a daily basis with great staff, great facility, and a great bunch of players to work with.
There's been a little bit of reporting about that first meeting between yourself and Richard Hughes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he comes to meet you in Zwolle at your home. What does he say to convince you? And I know it's Liverpool, so in some senses, where do I sign? In another respect, you're following Jurgen Klopp, you want to know. I think you said to him, why me? Is that right? Did you need to be told anything or see anything about what the vision was to be convinced?
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I asked it, but it could definitely be a question that I ask. If someone is interested or a club is interested, why would I ask that question? Because we performed really well. At Feyenoord, we were in the final of the Conference League. We won the league, we won the cup. So if it would only about that, about winning things, then I'm less interested. I also want to hear that they like a playing style, that they like player development and all these kind of things, that they maybe even like me as a person, so that they did their homework, if that's the way you say it over here. Very well. Now that is almost a stupid question to ask if you ask this to someone from Liverpool, but if there's ever a club that did his homework, that's Liverpool, with all the data and all the things. I noticed this now also when we were interested in certain players.
Were you surprised by how much they knew about you?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And I know now for sure, but Julian Ward was someone that I know from 4 or 5 years ago, because I visited Liverpool once when he did the loan. And he called me, I think, a month before Richard called me, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going through Europe. I'm interested in how some certain clubs work. Can I come to your place as well?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can." So he was there for 1 or 2 days, and looking back at it now, he wasn't there for just learning something. He just wanted to know how I worked, and hearing from the staff how the cooperation was and how we worked together. So again, an example of how what they all do to find their best possible player or manager.
When you arrived here at this incredible facility that we're at now, what was your initial approach? What did you try to get across to the players? I know in the early weeks you only had a few players, but then you go to America, then the internationals come. In those early weeks, what did you try and get across?
It's a long time ago, and a lot of meetings have been in between. But I think, but I'm not 100% sure, that the main things I spoke about was, of course, it's always about work rate, it's always about putting a lot of effort in, but also keeping the ball maybe in some situations a bit longer. Do not always go for the ball that has a lot of risk, but maybe wait a little bit longer for the right moment, although sometimes the right moment is also the first pass. But
that's the biggest change from Jurgen, perhaps.
I hope people still see a lot of things the same, also in that regard. So I think we are still a team that is a big threat on the counter-attack, because we have so many fast players. But I think you are right that there are certain parts of games where we keep the ball a little bit longer than Jurgen's teams did. Although there are, of course, many games that his teams kept the ball longer as well. But in general, maybe that's a slight difference. Not as big of a difference as people say, because I do read that his style of play was rock and roll and players had to run so much more, I think. But I'm going to ask this question. But I think I already know that there's not that much difference between the amount of running the players do now and last season. But the media wants to have a story, so that was rock and roll. With me, it's patience. But I think both teams, if we don't have the ball, are really aggressive. We don't go to a low block. We're always there to press high. So I see many more similarities than I see differences.
When you walk through the door here, or maybe not when you walk through, when they walk through, because the internationals had a longer break.
Yeah.
How impressed were you with the senior core of players? I know you've spoken a lot about this with regard to Virgil, but Alisson, Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Trent, that group of kind of senior leadership that you had within the club already, the culture.
Now Mo was already there on the first day because he didn't have a tournament, and that impressed me from the start because we did a running test, and he was number one. I would almost say by far. That's a bit exaggerated, but you hope for this, that one of your star players has that mentality to show up on the first training and be the fittest one. Quality was good in the first few weeks in general from the players, but when our national team players came back, you could immediately see, oh, now we're definitely on a different level over here than we were at Feyenoord, for example. The first 2 or 3 weeks I didn't feel that there was such a big difference, which is normal because we had national team players at Feyenoord as well that play with Virgil van Dijk and Ryan Gravenberch and Cody Gakpo, for example. But when these players came back, you could see, now we're now the level goes even further up, and that was also the first time where I felt like we will definitely compete this season with the other teams.
So I want to ask you, I know you've been asked loads about this, but the masterstroke of playing Ryan Gravenberch 6, what did you want from the player in that position? And also I'm interested in how him playing 6, Gravenberch playing 6, then brings the best out in Alexis McAllister. Was that part of your thinking?
I asked Ryan if he could come back a bit earlier than he actually did, because we had a few games in America to play, and I was really curious how he would do in that position, because when we came back from America there was only 2 games left on the same day. I think it was Sevilla and Las Palmas, so there wasn't a lot of time for me to try something out. But one of the things I spoke to most of the players, maybe to all of them, in their summer break, and one of the things Alexis said to me, and I also felt the same about it, was that he has no problem playing as a 6. He did quite well the season before, but he prefers to play with a 6 behind him, and I think that gets the best out of him. That's also why we were interested in signing a number 6. But Ryan did came back 1 or 2 days earlier. I was hoping for more, but he did came back 1 or 2 days earlier, and that way he could play the Manchester United game in that position, and I immediately liked it because he was so comfortable on the ball. I think if we look back, if you watch this game back, there's one moment where we played the ball towards him and there was someone who tried to press him and he just used his body, and the player didn't see him back for a few seconds, that the one that pressed him. So I immediately felt that would be a good asset to have, and then we had to find out during the first games in the season if he was defensively strong enough, but he definitely was, and I think he's now one of the players that has the most interceptions and all these kind of things. That's also a team dynamic, because if the front three don't work enough, it's hard for a number 6 to win a ball back, but he's having all the ingredients to play in that position really well. Maybe what he could add to his game is maybe 1 or 2 touch play and find even more players in between the lines. He can take Virgil as an example, because Virgil is for me our best player in that part, finding players in between the lines. But he's done great, Ryan, that's for sure.
Can I lastly ask you to pick out a significant moment or a turning point from this season? I was having a little look through yesterday. You have the weekend where you came from behind to beat Brighton, which is the same day that Arsenal lost at Newcastle and Man City lost at Bournemouth. Perhaps the win at Man City, which is the weekend that Arsenal lost to West Ham, and they might have expected to close the gap that weekend, and instead the gap grew. But for you, when you look back on why you've done it, how you've done it, what do you look to?
Yeah, I think if there's only one game, then you don't win the league. So there are always a number of games that make the difference for you. But I don't think we needed the confidence, because we knew from the start that we were able to compete, because it isn't like the last few seasons they didn't compete at all. Okay, 2 years ago was number 6, but last season they were number 3, were quite long in the race with City and Arsenal. So it wasn't a surprise to anyone that we were there. But the week that we beat Madrid and City probably gave us that extra push because we didn't beat the two of them by going to a low block or defending a lot, which we had to do at Man City away. That was just defending a lot and also be a bit lucky, in my opinion. Although we didn't even concede that many chances. But it's not the way I prefer to win a game of football. But a home game, City, Arsenal, we were just so intense that we deserved to win that game in the style we want to play. And that gave us a lot of confidence. And I think it was not long afterwards that we also had this run of games against West Ham away where we had a big win, Tottenham away a big win in numbers. So looking back at it, I think maybe that period of time was the most important part of our season. That gave us really that extra push to see we're definitely able to do this.